皆さん、こんにちは。今回は YouTube チャンネル、ジェームズ・スイートナムさんが行った、ジェイソン・モロニー選手へのインタビューを翻訳しました。那須川天心選手との対戦を控えたモロニー選手は、一体どんなことを語るのでしょうか。それでは、早速見ていきましょ
う。Right, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by former bantamweight champion of the world, Jason Moloney. You've got a massive fight coming up against Tenshin, but first I want to get into something else, right? Because I appreciate anyone who's willing to set foot in a ring and fight another human being. That's incredibly impressive. But for someone to get in a ring and try and fend off a snake, that's even more impressive. So can you tell me a little bit about
that? That's funny, mate. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be pretty impressed by that. Yeah, my coach, he's got a big gym on his property. He's got 18 acres out here in Australia. And yeah, he's on obviously a lot of land and
18エーカーは約72,843平方メートルで、東京ドームのグラウンド部分が約13,000平方メートルであることを考えると、とても広い敷地を持つジムであることがわかります。
With a lot of land in Australia comes some intruders. So yeah, we get a fair few snakes in the gym. I haven't had one in a little while, so you might have jinxed it. But yeah, we haven't had one in a little while. But yeah, from time to time we get some snakes in the gym, and we always have a bit of fun with it. And someone's got to do the job of obviously getting the snake out of the gym. So I'm certainly no snake wrangler, but I have grabbed a few from time to time, and I'll just do my best to get them out of the gym without getting bitten. But yeah, we've played some good tricks on a few of the boys over the time, and put one in one of the boys' gym bags and things like that just to stitch them up. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
I mean, I imagine I've got this impression of you as a boxer probably being quite tough and not really worried about them. Is that true, or are you quite scared when you have to like deal with them and chuck them out?
That's what everyone thinks when they see the videos. They think I'm cool, calm, and collected, but no, I'm shitting myself on the inside. I certainly don't like the snakes myself, but I don't even know what they are or how dangerous they are. But my coach just says, "No, mate, that's not a venomous one. You'll be right." And yeah, I'll just grab it by the tail and get out of there as quick as I can.
I mean, they're certainly dangerous opponents, but Tenshin, he's a dangerous opponent and he's all right. What do you make of Tenshin? What are you thinking going into this one?
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter, mate. There's obviously a lot of hype surrounding him due to his popularity and his success as a kickboxer. Obviously, very successful as a kickboxer and a former world champion and undefeated, I believe. So, there's a lot of hype surrounding him. You can certainly see that there's a lot of potential there. He's he's got very fast hands and he's a good athlete. He's got a good eye. He pulls off some good counter shots and he's a talented fighter. He's obviously only had the 5 fights as a professional, so they're throwing him in the deep end early against myself, a former world champion. It's a big step up for any fighter that's only had 5 fights. So they obviously believe in him and think he's the real deal. But yeah, it's obviously my job here to make sure he comes unstuck. And as I said, I respect him for throwing him in the deep end. That's something they do in Japan. They really test their guys, and there's no padded records or easy roads to the top in Japan. They put him in tough fights early, and I can only respect him for taking on this challenge. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. Obviously, I'm coming off a loss, and since losing my world title, I've just been working so hard to improve and get better and to get back and become a champion again. So this fight's so important for me. Obviously, beating a guy like Tenshin, it's going to open some big doors. He's rated as high as number 2 in the WBA and then 3 in the WBC. So, look, a win should set me up for another world title shot. But the full focus is just on beating Tenshin and yeah, reigniting my career and getting myself back to the top and where I want to be.
I mean, you mentioned there he's had the 5 professional fights. He also had the exhibition bout with Floyd Mayweather. Have you taken anything away from that fight?
Look, not really, mate. I've obviously watched it. Floyd's one of our generation's best and a lot heavier than Tenshin. And, I know it was just meant to be sort of a 3-round exhibition. And And obviously Floyd touched him up a bit in that exhibition, but there's not a whole lot you can really take from it, really. He's improved since then. So look, I'll just see what happens on the night. I'm obviously training for a very hard fight, but who knows what he'll bring. As I said, he's a pretty sharp, pretty fast, pretty slick mover. So I'm just preparing for a hard fight. I've got some really good sparring partners over here at the moment, and just working hard every day to make sure that I perform at my best. And yeah, I'm confident that my best is enough to beat him, and that's what it's all about. Just getting the preparation right and producing on the night.
Now, I want to roll back the years a little bit and look through your career. Obviously, starting out boxing with Andrew, identical twin brothers. So imagine growing up, you must have been having some boxing matches in the living room, probably pranking people with the old switcheroos, pretending to be each other and all that sort of stuff. So tell me about this journey you've been on with Andrew and the place you are now where you've started your own gym.
Yeah, well, as boys growing up, I had obviously my twin Andrew, and I've got an older brother Josh as well. So we were three boys in the house, and we just loved sport, tried a bit of everything, and all super competitive and wanting to beat each other. And yeah, boxing came along. I think we were about 10 years old. We got a set of gloves. I don't know who bought them. No one in our family was a boxer. Dad wasn't a boxer, although he was a fan. He never boxed himself. And yeah, someone bought us a pair of gloves each for Christmas one year, and yeah, me and Andrew used to put them on in the lounge room and just go for it. And we had some pretty brutal fights in the lounge room and a few blood stains on the carpet, which the parents weren't too happy about. But yeah, we obviously found that we love the competitiveness of boxing and the thrill of fighting. And it wasn't until about 12 or 13 we nagged Dad to take us down to the boxing gym, and yeah, we just both loved it, mate. And we've always been super competitive against each other, but it's also been such a blessing to have each other to push each other and to have a good sparring partner to always work with and a training partner to keep sort of trying to push yourself to reach new heights. So there's no doubt that because we've both boxed together and been alongside each other, that we've helped each other become better fighters, and I think it's been a great advantage and one that we still use to this day. We train together every day, and some days he'll pick things up and I'll pick other things up, and we'll just try and help each other to keep getting better. And yeah, it's been awesome to share the journey with him. We've still hopefully got so much more to achieve in the sport. And yeah, as you touched on, we've just opened our own gym together, which is something that we're pretty passionate about and excited about, and something that we'll look to pursue even more strongly after boxing. But at the moment, it's great just to share our knowledge and be around other people that are passionate about the sport and help them if we can.
Absolutely. And now looking at some of your amateur fights, I already knew that you'd beaten Michael Conlan, but it wasn't until I did my research that I realised that you beat George Kambosos as well. So can you tell me a little bit about those two fights?
オーストラリア出身のボクサー、ジョージ・カンボソス・ジュニア選手は、2008年にモロニー選手と対戦し、モロニー選手が勝利しています。その後、アマチュアボクシングで経験を積んだカンボソス選手は、2013年にプロデビューし、数々の勝利を重ねます。2019年にはテオフィモ・ロペス選手に勝利し、ライト級世界統一王者となりました。マイケル・コンラン選手はアイルランド出身で、モロニー選手とは2010年のコモンウェルスゲームズで対戦し、モロニー選手が勝利しています。コンラン選手はアマチュア実績が非常に豊富で、2012年のロンドンオリンピックで銅メダルを獲得し、2015年の世界選手権では金メダルを獲得しました。プロ転向後、2021年には TJ ドヘニー選手と空位の WBA タイトルを争い、勝利して暫定王者となりますが、その後リーウッド選手に敗れて防衛に失敗します。2023年にはルイス・アルベルト・ロペス選手の持つ IBF フェザー級タイトルに挑戦し敗北、その後ジョーダン・ギル選手と地域タイトルを争うも再び敗北し、引退を決意しました。しかし、2025年3月7日には復帰戦を行う予定で、再びリングに戻ることが発表されています。彼が再び栄光を取り戻すことを期待したいですね。
Yeah, two of the best names on my resume as an amateur, definitely. Obviously at the time we were only youngsters. No one really knows what course they're on or how good they're going to be. But yeah, George was a big win of mine. I think I was only 16 years old or 17 years old at the time, and yeah, I got a call up to go to Sydney and fight George because his opponent pulled out, and George already at that stage was a big ticket seller, and yeah, the matchmakers were scratching around trying to find a last minute replacement, and yeah, they called me up the night before the fight and said, "Do you want to come to Sydney?" I was living in Melbourne at the time, so it's not a long flight, and yeah, I went to school the next day. Dad picked me up early. We went to the airport, and yeah, that night I had a cracking fight with George Kambosos, and he was undefeated at the time, and yeah, we had a great fight. I don't think I've got footage of it, but I remember it was a cracking fight. It was definitely the hardest fight to date at that stage of my career, and yeah, I got the nod over George, which obviously looks good on the resume now given what he's gone on to achieve. And then yeah, obviously Michael Conlan was another huge name. At that stage, I didn't know who Michael Conlan was. It was before he went on to become an Olympian and an amateur world champion and achieve the great heights that he did as an amateur. But yeah, I drew him in the first round at the Commonwealth Games in 2010 over in Delhi. And yeah, that was my first big international tournament, and I was so hungry and so excited to be representing the country and wearing the green and gold. And yeah, we had an awesome fight in the first round of the tournament, and I'd actually finished on a count back, but I got the nod over Michael and progressed to the next round, which yeah, obviously going back, as I said, knowing what Michael went on to achieve was a huge win in my amateur career. We became mates after that. We sparred a few times as pros, and yeah, still enjoy watching him fight to this day. So that was great to share the ring with him at the Commonwealth Games.
And I know that you ended up obviously going to Las Vegas. You met Danny Green. I know you met Tony Talge as well. And there's a picture on his Instagram of you, him, and Andrew dressed in NWL wrestling t-shirts. Can you tell me a little bit the story behind that photo? And imagine the three of you in a tag team match would be pretty lethal. So who'd you go up against?
ダニー・グリーンはオーストラリア出身の元プロボクサーで WBC スーパーミドル級暫定王者及び WBA ライトヘビー級王者のタイトルを獲得した人物です。トニー・トラッチはオーストラリア出身のボクシングマネージャー兼プロモーターでモロニー兄弟をはじめジョージ・カンボソスジュニア選手のキャリアにも関わってきました。NWL はアメリカで活動しているプロレス団体ナショナルレスリングリーグです。
Yeah, early days, pre-boxing, wrestling was my love. Absolutely obsessed with wrestling when I was growing up. And yeah, me and Andrew had a birthday party that was themed, with the wrestling, and I dressed up as Kevin Nash. And who did Andrew dress up as? I can't remember who Andrew dressed up as now. But anyway, we loved our wrestling. And Tony, our manager, he's absolutely mad about wrestling still to this day. So yeah, it's something that we sort of, I don't know, had a bit of fun with, and we're doing a photo shoot with Mikey Williams from Top Rank. And
マイキー・ウィリアムズはトップランクの公式カメラマンとして活躍しています。
Tony whipped out the NWO t-shirts, and yeah, we got some good snaps there, and we've been to the wrestling together over the years, and had some good times, and yeah, it's just a bit of fun.
And then obviously you go on these first two world title fights. I'm obviously going to get to the third one, which is the amazing one that you won. But Emmanuel Rodriguez and Naoya and Inoue, can you tell me a little bit about them from the perspective, obviously, the Rodriguez thing, World Boxing Super Series? I don't think we've seen anything like it in terms of the production value. And I remember the draw and you two being told that you were going to fight each other and all that stuff. So tell me a little bit about that and obviously what being in the ring with Inoue was like.
Yeah, the first world title fight. So firstly, yeah, the World Boxing Super Series, that was an unbelievable thing to be a part of. The shame it's not still going. I really love the format of that competition, forcing the best to fight the best at a time in boxing when it wasn't happening all so often. Yeah, I really loved the format and was, yeah, so rapt to get the invitation to join the tournament. At that stage, I'd worked my way up the rankings, but hadn't really had a big proper title fight yet, or a big proper fight on the world stage. I was just fighting in Australia and chipping away and getting myself up the ratings and taking on the best opponents I could. And at that stage, I'd worked myself up to be the IBF mandatory, and Rodriguez was in the tournament as the IBF champion at that stage. So we lined up in the first round against each other. And yeah, my first crack at achieving my dream and becoming a world champion. And unfortunately, I didn't get the nod. It was a split decision, 113, 115, both ways. He got it by 2 judges and 1 judge my way. And yeah, it was, it was shattering to not achieve the dream. I thought I'd finished the fight really strong, and I thought I'd done enough when the bell went, but it's boxing. You never know. It's especially in a tight fight like that. You never quite know how it's going to go in the judge's eyes. So yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get the win. That hurt, but I learned a lot from that fight, and it gave me the belief that I did belong at the top. Obviously he was an undefeated world champion at that stage, and I felt like I'd beaten him. So, I went back in the gym hungry to keep getting better, but also with the belief that I was good enough to become a champion. And just had to stick to the course and keep fighting and keep winning, and my time would come again. And yeah, I think I was 2.5 years later that I had got myself right back up the ratings and earned myself a shot at Naoya Inoue, who I think is pound for pound the best in the sport. Just an exceptional fighter, and I knew that going into the fight, but I dared to be great, and I loved the idea of testing myself against one of the absolute best. Even at that stage, I was a fan of his. I loved watching him fight. He's very exciting, and I like to sort of try learn different things from him and enjoy his style. But yeah, I went up there. We fought in obviously in Las Vegas during COVID times, which was a bit strange. There's no crowd, or very, very small crowd at the fight, which was quite weird. But I jumped in there against Inoue and gave it my absolute best. And he unfortunately it wasn't enough. He's a beast of a fighter, and was too good for me on the night. But yeah, it was a great experience. Another fight that I learned a lot from, and he still took belief from as well. I didn't feel out of place in there, even though he stopped me and he caught me with some great shots. We're talking about the best fighter, one of the best of our generation. So I learned a lot, and I was happy that I got to experience fighting him in the ring, and I gave myself things to go back into the gym and work on and improve on. And it was back to the drawing board and hoping that I'd be able to get myself the third time lucky, another chance at becoming a world champion, and yeah, another 2 years down the track. Again, working away, got myself back up the ratings and earned myself a shot at the vacant WBO bantamweight world title against Vincent Astrolabio. And yeah, for me it was that was really make or break. It was, I didn't think I was probably going to get a 4th opportunity. So for me, that it was now or never. And, put a lot into that training camp, a lot into that preparation, and a lot of sacrifices even just to get to that point. And, yeah, it was a special night. I won the fight. I had to fight a pretty smart fight because I broke my hand, or really badly injured my hand, and tore some tendons and done a lot of damage to my right hand early in that fight, and had to fight a pretty smart tactical fight and deal with a lot of pain to get through to the final bell. But boxed a good performance that night and achieved the dream and walked away with the WBO world title over my shoulder, and no one can ever take that away from me. I'll forever be regarded as a world champion. But yeah, still got so much more I want to achieve, and really firmly believe that I've got what it takes to become world champion again. And here we are. Yeah, so just over 4 weeks out from a massive fight for me, and the first step towards becoming champion again.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance that you become a world champion again. And I think Australia is behind you, especially after what you've done in the ring. That Saul Sanchez fight in particular is the one that stands out to me that was just an incredible war. So can you tell me a tiny bit about that? And obviously, what are the future aspirations? Is there a world title fight in particular you want next?
No, look, yeah, that was a cracking fight. My first defense of my world title, and a night that I really had to dig deep. One of the toughest fights of my career. I didn't perform at my best that night, and in the sport of boxing, especially when you got young, hungry guys trying to take away your belt and become a champion themselves, you've got a target on your back, and I wasn't performing at my best that night at all. But I did what it takes. I made I guess the adaptations in the fight. I pushed forward and got him on the back foot, and yeah, did what I had to do to win the fight. And yeah, it was a tough night in the office. I was certainly very sore afterwards, but I was still the world champion, and that's what it was all about. And yeah, I got a good response from that fight. I think a lot of people really enjoyed watching that fight. The atmosphere that night over in Canada was electric, even though we had two foreign fighters obviously fighting over there. They were going wild and really enjoyed the fight, which was awesome. And yeah, obviously the next fight after that was against Yoshiki Takai over in Japan at the Tokyo Dome in front of 55,000 people, which again was just an amazing opportunity. But a night that I didn't perform well, and it's a fight that always frustrate me and disappoint me because it was such a special moment and a special opportunity, and I'll let it slip, and I didn't fight well that night, and obviously lost my belt. So now it's about getting that title back, and as we said, the first step towards that is beating Tenshin on February the 24th, and I'm sure that beating him will open up the doors to another title shot. I'm not really looking past Tenshin at the moment, so I've got no real care of who I fight next. Any of the champions I'd love to fight, but obviously as a fierce competitor, I would really love the rematch with Takai. I know that I've got what it takes to beat him, and I'm confident that if we did have the rematch that I'd be able to beat him second time round. So yeah, that's definitely a fight that interests me, but at the moment the focus is just on Tenshin and getting the job done against him.
And I don't know which fight it was after, but I saw on your Instagram there's a video of you and Alexander Volkanovski. So can you tell me a little bit about what that interaction was like?
Yeah, that was awesome. That was on the undercard of Kambosos and Haney. I just knocked out Aston Palicte with a really good shot.
ジェイソン・モロニー選手とアリソン・パリクテ選手の試合は2022年6月5日に行われ、この試合でモロニー選手が奪ったダウンシーンは過去に井上尚弥選手から受けたカウンターと非常に似ており、話題を呼びました。そして、アレクサンダー・ボルカノフスキーはオーストラリア出身の総合格闘家で、元 UFC フェザー級王者であり、歴代のフェザー級選手の中でも非常に高い評価を受けている選手です。
And that was at Marvel Stadium over here in Australia in Melbourne, which is just a dream come true. I was born and raised from Melbourne and had so much of my family and friends there that night. And yeah, it's pretty awesome to fight at that venue. That's a huge football stadium, and it was packed. And yeah, I just got the knockout. I jumped out the ring and I was on cloud nine, and then yeah, Volt came up and he actually asked me for a photo, which I couldn't believe. So, obviously, all Aussies love Volk, and really admire what he's achieved for himself in the UFC, and yeah, couldn't believe it, and yeah, he got a photo, and I got a photo, and yeah, it was unreal to meet him. He's a champion of a bloke, and yeah, it's just a cool moment in my career.
And obviously, looking at your entire boxing journey from winning the world title to battling with the snakes, you've done so many mad things. You've had so many crazy stories. What do you think is the most outrageous or crazy or most memorable story you've ever had?
Put you on the spot there, mate. No, I don't know. I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's been a wild journey, definitely. But I I know how lucky I am to be in this position. I'm so fortunate. I get to box for a living. You know, obviously I love boxing, and I've been able to be a professional now for 10 years, and hopefully still got many more years to come. But yeah, the sport's given me so much, and I've obviously given a lot to the sport, but the hard work pays off, and yeah, hopefully there's still so much more to achieve. But yeah, I've met so many great people along the way, and yeah, Volkanovski and Usain Bolt. That was a special moment meeting him, and you touched on earlier, me meeting Danny Green, who at that stage was my idol and played a pivotal role in my career and introduced me to my manager and my coach, and sort of guided me along this journey. So I've been fortunate enough to meet some great people along the way, and to pick one moment, that's a difficult one, but yeah, it's been a great ride.
Jason Moloney just finished a training session here at Tokyo Dome Hotel. How you feeling, mate?
Yeah, really good, mate. Only 2 days to go, so take.
Amigos de ESPN Knockout, este 24 de febrero, ya sabe que tenemos boxeo de campeonato del mundo, y es que el mexicano David el General Cuellar